Ballypatrick Stables in County Tipperary with Arraghbeg Clover, the mare who won a World Championship for Ireland for the Irish Sport Horse Stud Book. And I'm going to meet Greg Broderick, the owner and rider of this famous mare. So Greg, this is the mare of the moment.
Yeah, this is Arraghbeg Clover. We call her Tori at home, it's her stable name. So she's a little bit of a character in the stable. She likes to be her own boss.
Right.
But overall she's generally fairly pleasant. Very, very quick learner. And I mean, when she teaches something once, she has it. But she's always been a natural. I mean, from the first day we bought her, in Derwents, when I went with Declan and myself went to see her that day, for how weak she was and for the way her rideability was at that time. I remember Jim Derwent building the fences for her, and it was basically, you could only basically try and get her to the fence the best way you could. You know, there wasn't much riding to her, but as soon as she got in front of the fence and you let go, then it was unbelievable how she used herself.
And she was only just broken as a 4-year-old at that stage.
She was broken as a 4-year-old, and she went through a couple of people's hands quite quickly, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
And then Richard Shane, who deals in event horses, he had been in Derwents to see some 3-day event horses, and Tom Burns, a friend of Declan's, was with him, and a good friend of mine as well. He just happened to ring Declan to say that they'd seen a very good mare in Derwents. And it was the day after a show on a Sunday, so we were at a little bit of a loose end on a Monday, because here on a Monday after a show on a Sunday, we feed in the morning and evening, and we take it handy on a Monday.
You get a rest day on a Monday?
Yes, yeah. And as soon as we heard that, we said we better sit in the car and take a spin to Derwents. So we went there and tried the mare, and we weren't going to go home without her. I mean, the way she jumped for...
And was it just the sheer scope that she had that impressed you, or was it...
It was everything about her, for the way the mare was going. Sometimes, I suppose, with horses we make excuses for them. They're too weak, they're too green, they're not riding well, and we say, oh, that's the reason why they're not jumping. On that day she was weak, she was green, she wasn't riding well, but still when I got to the fence she jumped like a Grand Prix horse. She just was a natural jumper. And when we took her home, we were really, really, really delighted with her. Like, what she used to do in the arena was actually go too high over the fences, you know. And we took her to the qualifier for Dublin, which she was probably too green to do in the Galway Equestrian Centre in O'Brien's. And I think 164-year-olds competed that day. And I won the qualifier with Jackie O, which is a very, very good mare of Noel Cawley's, by Jack of Diamonds. And she's progressing to be a lovely mare. And my cousin Dara was second with this one on that day.
On her debut?
Yeah, it was her third show with us, but it was her first qualifier for Dublin. And I had a suspicion that when she got a little break after that show and strengthened up a bit, that she would really improve a lot. And we gave her a little break after that. And I remember we brought her to Gerard Bryan's the week before Dublin. And I said to Dara, I said, if we take the mare to Dublin the way she's jumping today, they'll kick us out of the show, because the fences were that height and she was jumping this high over them. And I sort of said, we better keep jumping until she comes back to earth a bit.
Yeah. So
we went to Dublin, and the first day she was 5th, she jumped nice. And the second day she won the second qualifier. And then from there on in, she was the outright winner. And the final day she was almost 30 marks clear, which would nearly be unheard of in a 4-year-old class.
It's amazing.
30 marks clear coming into when Shane Breen rode her. And she hasn't really looked back since. She's just been on a winning curve. She's
been going up and up. And of course she's going to head to Germany this week?
Yeah, she's going to Holger Hetzel's. So I'm not sure what the plan is. He runs a very good auction. He had the winner of the Bundes Championship in Germany in the auction last year. And so this mare is going to be, he's the winner of Lanniken this year. So hopefully, I mean, she's lucky for him. I will be sad to see her go. I don't get overly attached to too many of them, because obviously it is a business. When you work with them, you know, you try to be as good to them as you possibly can. But inevitably, you know, they're going to be sold.
Yeah.
I would love to have had a couple of embryos from her, because she has so many strong points in that she's such a fighter in the ring. It's unbelievable how she tries to jump all the time. She's so smart. Like you can be a foot too deep or a foot too far off, and she just, she makes it look like you're perfect every time. And she's always blood in your hand to ride. You never need much leg, and her technique is perfection. And obviously, she's so careful. So I think what we speak about in Irish horses, that they're smart and clever and huge heart. I think she portrays that, like she oodles all that.
Yeah, so she's going to be showing off the traits of Irish sport horses, hopefully in Europe.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Greg, you might show us some of the other horses that are around the place as well, if you don't mind. You've more than herself in the yard.
Be glad to show you.
Thanks a million. Your newer acquisitions, 3-year-old full brother to Ballypatrick Mystique.
That's right, we just bought him just after I came back from Lannigan. Just on the Monday, I had a couple hours to spare and I went to Kilkenny to Tim Brennan's, where he was bred. Right. And obviously when Ballypatrick Mystique was such a lucky horse for us. She was a national champion at 5, national champion at 7. She won a bronze medal in Lannigan.
Would you see this fella going to Lannigan?
I think, obviously I haven't broken him yet, but from what I see of him on the loose, he's a freak. He's a real jumper. He's really careful. He's great technique, and obviously, as you can see him, he's a real sharp character.
He's very alert. He's taking everything in.
So I definitely have high hopes. I have high hopes for him.
Good. So we could be back in a couple of years talking about the medals this guy wins.
It's definitely a possibility.
Another one of your stable stars, Greg, Caitriona.
Yeah, she's been a great servant as well. I've won a lot of classes with her, horse sport classes all the way along. She jumped in Lannigan herself as a 6-year-old and was in 3rd place after the 2 qualifying rounds. And she's been there as a 7-year-old. This year she's been a dual Grand Prix winner for me. It was a big help for me to win the National Grand Prix League. She won a lot of points in the Grand Prix League. So I've produced her myself since she's 4. She's belonged to Dr. Noel Cawley.
And again, another one of the mare types that we want in the country.
Absolutely. And actually several times, actually a lot more than several times, we could have sold the mare. And Noel has decided to keep her because he wants to breed off her. So again, he really needs to be complimented on that. And they've been great owners for me, Noel and Lisa. They've kept some very good horses with me, like Caitriona, Golden Exchange, another mare that's won a lot of big things for me. Yeah. They have some nice young horses coming through now, like Jackie O, and they have a couple of nice 4-year-olds for the coming year. So it's great to have good owners like this, and horses like this are a huge help to me. She was 2nd in the final of the Premier Series in Kylog as well this year, and she's moved up to 150 very nicely. So she's going to be a big cog in the wheel for me next year as well, I think. And
what way is she bred, Greg?
She's actually traditionally Irish bred as well. She's by cruising, obviously.
Well known.
One of the number 1 sire in Ireland, and she's out of a mare called Diamond Ballerina, who was by Diamond Lad. And not only was Caitriona, obviously she's a 150 performer herself, but she's a full sister to Salarina, who competed under Conor O'Regan to World Cup level, and now is under Shane Sweetman and is winning numerous classes on the international scene in America. So she's going to be a huge asset to the Irish breeding, you'd imagine, when Noel decides to
breed from her.
And it's also a thought in his head to take a couple of embryos. So
while she's competing.
Yeah, it's mares like this that should be the future of the breeding. And I mean, she's so well bred and like traditionally Irish bred. So like going back to what I said earlier about maybe the breeders being subsidised, it's mares like this that it's essential that the Horse Sport Ireland encourage the breeders to keep and maybe help them out a bit by using 5-star sires. And it's just something to throw around a bit, and it's maybe something that the breeders should be subsidised to breed off mares like this, because in the end of the day you have a huge chance breeding from a top performer like her. And not only is she a top performer herself, but she's from a family of top performers. So there's a great chance when you cover her with a top sire that you're going to get a top performer.
Progeny.
Exactly.
Great. Well, listen, thanks very much. Greg, this was your other Laniken finalist.
Yeah.
Going global, 7th place.
Yeah, he gave an unbelievable performance in Laniken. He's been a super consistent horse. He was bought by Caitriona Stables. I had him here as a 5-year-old from Tom Brennan, who bred him.
Right.
And I knew when I rode him that he had something special. And I asked Lee Kruger at Caitriona Stables, who's been a huge supporter for me, to come and see him the day after Dublin, that I had a very special horse in the yard. She came and thankfully she bought him. And since then he's gone from strength to strength. This year he did 4 National Grand Prix and he was placed in all 4. And from there we were in Dublin in the internationals, where he was 3rd in the 7 8-year-olds there. Gave a fantastic performance in the main ring on the Sunday and showed against some of the best 7 and 8-year-olds in Europe exactly what he was made of. We went to Laniken, we made the final from over 210. There was 40 in the final and there were 7 clear rounds. His first round was probably the best round he jumped all year, over the biggest track, open water and really technical, like the horse really stepped it up another gear. And in the jump off I had the first fence down, and when I knocked the first fence we just took the foot off the gas and we finished 7th overall, which was still 7th in the World Championships out of 210 horses. Was a fantastic result. Obviously, having won the gold medal on the mare earlier, I knew that this horse still had a huge chance, and then when I was clear, I suppose, and not to say you get greedy, but he definitely was a contender for a gold medal.
You thought you might have had another medal on your hands.
And c'est la vie, that's how it goes, but the horse has a huge future. And
where do you see him going? What is he going to do within the next 3 or 4 years?
I'd like to think that he's a horse who's going to step up to 5-star Nations Cup level, and I'm very thankful for Lee Kruger for leaving the horse with me, and hopefully he can stay competing under the Irish flag. And I mean, he feels at the moment that he has all the power and scope, and he jumps a huge number of clear rounds. So I think, hey fella, I think he's definitely a real contender for the Super League Nations Cup teams in the coming few years.
Great, so we might see him on the international stage again in the next short while.
I hope so.
He's a smasher.
Yeah, he's a beautiful model. He's actually a real type that you'd like to breed, even as a breeder. He's big, he's 17 hands, he's blood, you know, he's no way a plain horse. And to ride him, he's beautiful to ride because on a distance, you know, if it's 6 strides, you can do 5 strides in the jump off to leave 1 less out, because he can open them up so easy.
Yeah.
And if it's a long 6 in the first round, it's easy to make 7 strides. So he's very adjustable as well, you know. So, like I say, when you're producing horses well for the American market or for the amateur market abroad, it's very important that you have rideability.
Yeah.
And this horse
has all that.
He has all that.
Greg, this is one of the newest foals on the farm. Tell me a little bit about it.
He's just been born 2 days ago. It's a foal by Cardento, and it's out of the mare Mrs. Quinn, who I've competed internationally, and she's won 9 Grand Prix. And she was a winner of the National Speed Championship last year. So obviously she's a brilliant mare, Mrs. Quinn.
But of course this isn't Mrs. Quinn we're looking at.
No, this is not Mrs. Quinn. This is a recipient mare that we used to carry the fertilised egg from Mrs. Quinn. So she's just a recipient mare.
She's carried the foal.
And she's reared it. So the nice thing to see is, even though it's from embryo transfer, you can see the mare is chestnut, the flaxen mane and tail, but obviously the foal carries all the genetics of Cardento and Mrs. Quinn.
Yeah.
Mrs. Quinn herself, who I'll show you, is a bay mare the same colour as the foal with a white star in her face. So he's taken the same markings from the mother. But I mean, like I say about breeding, it's nice to breed from top mares like her, and not only is she a good performer herself, but she's also a full sister to another mare Shannondale, that jumped Nations Cups for Ireland as well. So it's not only is the mother of the foal a good mare herself, but she's also from a good family of jumpers, which I strongly believe is very important. I think that these mares that are freaks themselves, that jump good, are not always the best mares. I think if you can get the foals from families,
a proven family.
Yeah, it's very, very important.
And the embryo transfer foals, do they stay with you up to 3 and 4 years old? Do you sell them? What's your normal plan?
Generally we don't sell the foals, we like to keep them and assess them as 3-year-olds. It's important for us to sell good ones at all ages because obviously, like I said, inevitably everything will be sold. So it just depends on what customers come in, what they're looking for, the budget they have to spend. I mean, everything is for sale at a price and everything will be sold eventually, but generally, you know, we like to keep the foals because we're producers, so
that's great. Well, it's a beautiful foal. Hopefully we'll see him in the next couple of years.
Yeah, he looks
as a 4-year-old.
He looks a smart foal. We were lucky enough on the other farm, there was a full brother to this foal born 3 weeks ago from embryo transfer as well. So he'll in 4 years' time you could see him and his full brother competing in the 4-year-old class in Dublin. It's possible.
Obviously wouldn't happen with a natural breeding system.
Not.
Greg, this is the 3rd horse you had over in Lanaken. Who are we looking at?
It's a 6-year-old stallion called MHS Shamrock. He performed very well out there as well. Unfortunately, he didn't make the final. He was 12th the first day out of over 250 as well, which was a great performance. And then the second day, he was unlucky just to have 8 falls. But he performed very well, and he's a horse that's just getting better and better. He's extremely scopy.
Very athletic by the looks of it.
Very athletic. He's happy to be out the field there. We try and get them out. We try and get them out most days. We're lucky to have land here in paddock, so you know, obviously to let them out for a bucking and play like that. But he's owned by Mary Ellen DeRucci and Bill Munton, and they own a couple of very nice horses with me now as well, and they're huge supporters.
Where in the world are they?
They're from Pennsylvania in America. So I was very lucky to meet them, and very nice people. And
did they travel over to Lanaken to watch him perform?
They didn't. They had commitments at home and they couldn't get over, but they watched it on the live stream.
Great.
So he's a very exciting horse. They owned another stallion I have called Hitchcock. It was a very good stallion by Darko. And we had a mare, Gortera Caradove, in the 4-year-olds in Dublin. She was 4th this year. And she's also a very nice mare. So again, they're a big cog in the wheel for me as well. Great supporters, and very thankful to have them.
Great. Greg, listen, it's been a pleasure to see you around the yard. Thanks very much for having us.
No problem.
Congratulations again on the gold medal in Lanaken.
Thank you.
And we look forward to seeing you competing over the next 12 months.
Hopefully, yeah. Thank you.
Thanks a lot.